Hi friends, it's Laura. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. I don't have a what sold video for you this week because I did not have a whatnot show. I did sell stuff on the other platforms, but honestly, it's not been not been a whole lot. And I thought that instead of a what sold video, I would talk about why I didn't have my whatnot show this week. It's nothing super dramatic, but I did have a little mentee bee, as the kids say, a little mental breakdown. That's a little dramatic. I didn't have a mental breakdown, but I was overwhelmed and I decided to cancel my show after a lot of angst. And I thought I would talk about it because I don't think that I'm alone in this. I think that a lot of us experience this kind of stuff, and I feel like it's only been getting talked about a little bit more in past 5 years or so. And I know that I've been learning a lot about myself and the way that I respond to this type of stuff and what kind of triggers some of this overwhelm for me and how I can deal with it. And so I thought I would talk about it and share it with you in case you found it helpful or you relate to it, or you could give me helpful tips, maybe. I don't know. So what happened? Why did I cancel my show? Well, as we all know, if you watch my channel ever, I am chronically last minute loading up all of my whatnot shows, right? I have a show every Thursday morning, and almost every single Wednesday, I am frantically sourcing, uploading drafts, uploading photos to have my show on Thursday. This week, I went out to an estate sale type of situation on Tuesday, and it was decent. It wasn't the most amazing, but it was okay. And I went to my regular thrift store the same day so that I would have all day Wednesday to prepare for my Thursday show. Thought that's such a great idea. Well, Wednesday came and I was not feeling it. And I feel like, we all are always always not feeling it, right? All the time. But I was just having a really difficult time. And if you've ever gone through depression, it's essentially the type of feeling where you just can't make yourself get up and go do whatever the thing is. And you can be sitting there yelling at yourself internally for 3 hours, just get up and go do the dishes. But it's like you physically can't do it, right? It was that type of paralysis in a way, like a task paralysis type of thing. So I was really struggling. And I think that what happened was I was just overwhelmed primarily with all of my fucking inventory. I was already overwhelmed with everything that I have in my house. And then I went out to this estate sale thing and I got a whole bunch of new stuff that not only is additional stuff, but also it needs soaking or washing or work of some sort, right? So I just added to the chaos. And I didn't feel like the benefit of that was worth the effort, I suppose. If I had gone out to this estate sale thing and found a whole bunch of psychedelic 60s stuff, I would feel way less bad about all the overwhelm. But I didn't get that super pumped up feeling from the stuff that I found to sort of make up for all of the overwhelm, right? It didn't balance it out. So anyway, now it's Wednesday. I'm overwhelmed, but I got to get this stuff done, and I'm dragging ass. And I finally got to do some co-working or body doubling with a friend of mine. We basically just sit on camera together, with Zoom or something, and both do work at the same time. And I don't know why it works. It just does. It helps keep you sort of focused and a little bit more engaged than you would be if left to your own devices. And I don't know that that works for everybody, but it works for me, and I'm happy to take advantage of it. And so we sat together doing work for, I'm going to guess 4 or 5 hours. I mean, it was a long time, right? And and the whole way I was dragging ass, right? I was forcing myself through it. And when I'm forcing myself through it, what I mean by that is I just want to be ugh, I don't want to do it. And then I'm no, we have to do it. So I get the thing and I look at it. I'm I don't want to list this thing. And then okay, let's just do it. And it's a very slow process. It's not I'm working at a normal speed and I just don't want to be. I am very slow. It feels like walking through waist high water or dragging a rock up a hill. It sucks, right? And I was doing that for about 4.5 hours, something like that. Finally, at about 6:30, I had finished all of the drafts, and I said, okay, I'm going to hop off of this call and I'm going to just take a little break and then I'm going to get to photographing all the stuff, right? So I hopped off the call and I took a little break. But unfortunately, the second I was off that call and on this break, couldn't get myself moving again. And I sat in another sort of paralysis state until about 9 o'clock at night. And then I was just sort of like messaging with friends, like, I can't, like, I do not know how I'm going to do this. I cannot make myself get this done. I have to get this show ready for tomorrow, yada, 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 the whole thing. One of my friends called me and was just trying to help talk me through it. And I started crying and I just felt super overwhelmed. I was like, I didn't feel like I could cancel the show because I need the money, frankly. But I also just couldn't see myself doing it. And I was trying to negotiate with myself. And well, maybe I could push the show to Friday. Whatnot was having some promotions for sellers. So they were only going to charge half of the fees that they normally charge on both Friday and Saturday for 4th of July. So I thought, like, instead of doing my show Thursday, I could push it to Friday, take advantage of the 4%, like, you know, whatever. Like, maybe I could do that. But I also knew, at least in that moment, it felt as though if I were to just postpone the show until Friday, all I would be doing was giving myself a Thursday that went exactly the same way that my Wednesday had gone. I'd be pushing to prep for the show. I'd be dragging ass the whole time. I didn't feel like postponing the show by a day was going to sort of refresh me enough, replenish me enough to be successful at it, right? So I was just really wavering a lot for a long time. And ultimately, I decided to cancel my show for Thursday, and that was the only decision I made. I said, I'm canceling the show for tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to do it Friday. I don't know if maybe I'll schedule a show for Saturday. Spoiler alert, I did not schedule shows for any of those days. I knew I'd be worried about money, but I also knew that, like, I'm okay. Like, I'm not destitute, but, I need money. So I just decided to cancel for Thursday, and that's all I did. And I went to bed and I woke up and I did feel a lot better Thursday morning, and I kind of got a better start. And I still just decided to move through my day one tiny action at a time. I know that for me, when I get into these states where I find it really hard to motivate or get myself going, things that contribute to that for me, I mean, obviously my overwhelm is a big part of it, and it's a very big and constant part. And there's not a quick fix to the overwhelm thing. I mean, the overwhelm, the hoard. I mean, there is, but they're not good quick fixes. I could, like, put it all in the front yard and set it on fire, right? And then I would not have this big mess in my house, but then I have no inventory. I could and I should and I will purge a lot of this stuff. I definitely have pieces that I get and then I discover some sort of problem with them, and then I hold on to it thinking, like, okay, well, I should repair this. I should, make this sellable sometime. And the bottom line is, a lot of this stuff just isn't worth it. It just really sucks if I go and I buy it today and I get it home and I'm like, shit, there's a hole in the arm that I didn't see. It's not on a seam. It's not easy to repair. It requires a patch or something. And then to just, like, say, you know what? Okay, let's get it out of the house. Like, it feels like a waste to me. So I feel like I should try to repair it somehow. And I try to tell myself, like, oh, well, you could make this sellable. And I could, right? Probably, potentially. But also, for how much and how much time am I going to invest in that and all of that? And there's a lot of pieces I have that are like that. And there are definitely a lot of pieces I have that I absolutely want to invest the time in, because I either think they're awesome or they're going to make me a lot of money. But in a case where I think it's awesome, I'm at least excited about it. So it doesn't feel like as much of a drag. When it's something that I thought, like, oh, this is kind of cute, and then it's got damage, it's kind like, this is kind of cute. It's a very different feeling than, like, holy shit, look at this thing, So there's a lot of pieces that I can let go. There's a lot of pieces that I've held on to for a long time because I look at the potential of them. Like, this thing was a holy shit amazing piece at one point in time, but it's so far gone that I don't know that I can resuscitate it. And so I just keep procrastinating on it and pushing it off to a later date kind of decision. And that's kind of stuff that, I need to take closer looks at and decide whether or not I want to deal with it, And I don't think that I have the capacity to do that. I have, my whatnot shows are really a really important part of my business, but I do not have the type of space and setup to do those in a more expansive way or in a way that I would like to, right? I do very well with my shows as is, but it's always under the gun. And I feel like keeping up the pace of the shows that I currently do, I have to keep bringing in a lot of new inventory. And lately, I have been getting, if I'm bringing in 30 pieces are going out. It's been picking up that way. It's nice, but I am still on this little hamster wheel, and I don't really have a good way to deal with it. And so I do think I have to clear a lot of this inventory out, but I also have to find ways to make my whatnot shows easier, not be so last minute. And I have to find ways to then help myself focus more attention on Etsy, eBay, etc. Etsy and eBay, really, because Poshmark and Depop are like a freaking joke to me at this point. So that's kind of that thing. Overwhelm, the hoard, the actual visual clutter that is like an all day, everyday visual list of things that I have not yet done. And it's just in my head all the time. And that sucks. And it doesn't help me be more productive. Other things that really get in my way, you guys are not going to like any of these things because they're not quick fixes and they're long term, but it's true. Okay. What I eat. If I my entire life, I've been like a sugar junkie, and I'm at a point now where I eat a lot more responsibly than I used to, but it still makes a big difference for me. So I have to make sure that I'm eating something with like good protein and fiber for breakfast and, not doing tons of junk. I love peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and on like Italian style white bread, right? Like the grocery store Italian, not Italian bread, sandwich bread. Just Jif peanut butter, Welch's grape jam, I used to eat them all the time, like at least twice a day. Sometimes I would have 2 sandwiches at a time, but they're not good for my brain. When I eat them, I get sluggish and I want to do more other types of junky behavior. My phone and any kind of technology distractions are all a death trap for me. I have these games I play on my phone and they are awful because they're super addictive and they also give me anxiety. I don't understand how that works. I'll be playing them and I can't make myself stop, but I feel miserable while I'm doing it. I don't understand that. That doesn't matter because I understand that that's how it is. So, trying to stay away from that stuff, staying off the fucking social media. My God, social media, it's supposed to be cute and fun and entertaining. And it is, but it's interspersed with death and destruction and war and doom and apocalypse these days. And then you throw in a whole bunch of advertisements for whatever, supplements and AI. I can't with AI. It's making me okay. So I got to stay off social media. I have to stay away from these stupid phone games. I got to stay off of Netflix. Sorry to say this, YouTube, but I got to stay off YouTube. I get sucked into this stuff, and all of that stuff for me is also like a drug. If I start doing it, I can't I'll just watch one video and then I'll get to work. I can't do that, right? I can watch one video, but then my brain's like, watch another one. And it gets into that cycle. And if I manage to break that cycle for myself, I then have to do something more major to get myself to be able to do other tasks. Like I have to be able to find somebody who will body double with me, the co-working online together. Sometimes I can have a good phone conversation with somebody where, it's just the act of getting on the phone and talking with someone will get me up, because now I have to do something else while I'm talking. So maybe I'll wash the dishes or maybe I'll sort through some inventory, but it has to be something mindless. But something to kind of break me away from the technology rut. And then maybe I can do some of the other stuff, but it's always hard. If I start my day with technology, thankfully, I really don't start it with junk food anymore. But if I start it with the technology, I am am shooting myself in the kneecap every single time. So, and that's hard because I wake up in the morning and there's some days that I don't want to do the healthy stuff. I don't want to journal. I don't want to meditate. I don't want to do that crap, right? I'm like, ugh, I just can't, and although I think I figured out what helps me with that too, because again, all my eating stuff, I know I've talked about this book before. I read a book. It's something like, I don't know. It's a sugar addiction book, The Sugar Addict's Guide to Total Recovery, something along those lines. And it really helped me a lot. And one of the things that she talks about doing in this book is at night before bed, you eat a little bit of potato with the skin on it. And I know you're like, what the fuck is that, right? It sounds weird, but there's something about the carbohydrate of the potato plus like the fiber of the skin, and it basically allows chemicals in your brain to do something. Okay, I'm not going to go through the whole explanation because I'll do it poorly and incorrectly, I'm sure, but it's got something to do with tryptophan and allowing more serotonin or dopamine or something like that to like do what it has to do kind of overnight while you're sleeping. And I noticed this week there was one day, I don't know, one day where like I didn't have my potato at night, and I don't always have it, right? I try, and you don't have to eat a whole potato. It's just like pieces, right? A little bit. But I've been trying to do it, but I'm not like super regular about it. And there was one day like I didn't have it, and I have been trying to get back into journaling, and I woke up in the morning, I was like, I just don't want to fucking do this today. I can't make myself journal. And I got sucked into my phone. And then last night I made my potato and I ate some of it. And then I woke up this morning, I'm like, okay, so let's do some journaling and let's do some, and I did it. And I think it makes a fucking difference. And here's the problem, right? Sometimes we find these things that work and they help us. It's like, they always talk about people with bipolar disorder. I don't know why bipolar disorder in like specifically, but that seems to be the one they talk about the most. They don't like being on their medication. And so they're like, I've been doing fine, I'm going to go off the medication. But then they go off the medication and then like things go awry and they learn their lesson and they go back on the medication. But then after a while, they're like, oh, I don't need this anymore. And it's like, you don't need it because you do need it. Things are okay because you're on your medication, right? And I feel like that's kind of what my potato does for me. And a lot of times my journaling and meditation and all of that stuff, when I stop doing those things, I slowly go downhill. And because it's slow, you don't necessarily recognize what's happening until you're at a point where it's really hard to come back from it. So I'm kind of at the point where it's hard to come back from. I haven't been exercising I do it very intermittently. I try to start it up every now and then. And I get through like 1 or 2 days and then I lose it again. So I am at that point where I kind of have to start all these habits again. And I'm hoping that my little mini crisis will help me. Honestly, every time something like this happens, it sort of helps me a little bit. It's again, a reminder of like, okay, these things are not working for you. These things help you, but it's a slow climb regardless. When I was looking at all of my stuff, I realized that, dealing with this stuff, essentially, like I said, there's no quick fix besides putting it outside and setting it on fire, or bringing it all to the thrift store and being like, take it back, which I don't want to do, right? I got a lot of really cool shit in there. And so that means, and I try to do all this organizational stuff with it all the time. I can't, like, the organizational stuff doesn't really work for me. Sometimes a little bit, but not really. So I think that really what my solution is one that I hate, but I have to just deal with one thing at a time. If I pull something out of the pile and it requires some kind of repair, that especially a repair that I'm like pretty easily capable of doing, I need to just go do the repair. And that sucks because I want to like batch my work in a sense. If I'm going to break out the fucking sewing machine, I want to do 3, 4, 5 things, 12 things. Probably like 3 is my limit because I don't have a whole lot of those skills either. But if I do that, if I try to like collect things to batch up together, I just keep making piles. And then I get overwhelmed. And then I go do something else. And then those piles get mixed back in with one another. And I have to do the whole thing a week, a month, 6 months later. and it never ends. So I'm trying to just, I'm looking right now, like right behind you is my little hoard pile. I'm looking, I'm like, okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is just list those pillowcases. I got these cute pillowcases the other day. I've got them sitting on the pile, just write a draft, photograph them, put them away, and that's done. And the thing is that I do that, right? The pile essentially looks no different once I've done that. And that's part of why it's so frustrating for me. But then it's a thing that's listed. It's listing activity, which apparently in my mind is the only thing that counts as work. Is if I hit the publish button in Vendu, then I've done work. Anything short of that is apparently not work in my brain. And that's also something I have to reprogram. But, you know, I have so many things in this pile that I am able to manage somehow. A lot of the things I can't. There's a pair of pants I have in there. They're really cute. They're like very high-waisted, and they're like culotte, gaucho kind of pants. They're the widest leg imaginable, the tiniest waist. They're like a 25-inch waist, and they're really cool, right? They've got these great pockets. They're fantastic. But they had a stain on them, and I soaked it probably a couple of times, and the stain is like almost gone, but it's still kind of there, right? It's so close though. And I've been shuffling those things around because I keep thinking in my head that I'm going to dye them a different color. I think they are such cool shorts, pants, whatever they are. They're so cool. I should dye them another color, but then I don't do it. And I think it's half the time when I do break out the dye, like they're not really in my whatever. I don't know where they are. I'm not thinking of them, whatever the case may be. So they don't get dyed and they keep getting shuffled around. So at this point, I have to like shit or get off the pot, right? I have to dye them and get them sold or let them go. And by let them go, I mean donate them to like one of those like big clothing donation bins. Like I have a local guy that I give my good stuff to if I have something cool that I'm getting rid of or something sellable that's not damaged or whatever. I give it to this one guy. But if I have other stuff that I feel like, you know, like those pants, like maybe they're damaged and I don't want to give them to my tiny thrift store guy, I'll give them to those clothing bin places because maybe it's like all a lie, but I feel like if they don't get sold as thrifted items, then they eventually end up maybe in a rag house or something like that. I don't know. I like to think that that's giving them a chance. I can't control whatever you think, where everything ends up. And I have so much of that stuff. So that's kind of the process for me. I want to be able to do a video where I update y'all with this stuff. I know that back in like, I think it was in January, I assume, but maybe even the beginning of March, I made a whole bunch of little lists of all my neat little projects and things that I was going to work on. And I thought that that would help me if I sort of like made like basically a journal of all of these little projects, right? And of each type of project that I had. And then I could kind of mark the progress as I went. And I thought if I can see that I've made progress, maybe that will help motivate me. It doesn't. And I get caught up in other things and that hasn't worked out for me. I keep trying new things to help myself. So whatever. And if you're like, I make these videos every now and then, right? And if you watch these and you're like, really, Laura, like the same old story again. Yes. And if you think that I'm not saying that same thing to myself every fucking day, you would be incorrect because I say it all the time. And I have really good support people that I speak to on a regular basis and I say it to them and then they yell at me for being mean to myself, which they are correct to do because that does not help make it better. I can yell at myself all day. I've been yelling at myself for 52 years, maybe not quite that long, but you know, and it hasn't fixed it. So now I got to try something else. So that's my very loose plan is try to make sure I'm starting my day off properly. I eat something healthy, which I've been very good about for a while now. So that's good. Usually that's either like a scrambled egg sandwich with like that, you know, Dave's Killer Bread, which I love. It's like full of like fucking seeds and shit, right? So scrambled eggs with that and some nutritional yeast, which I also love because it's basically like an overdose of B vitamins. It's great. Or I have steel cut oats with some protein powder mixed in and that works really well for me as well. I think the fiber and the protein combination is kind of a key component. Starting off with something healthy, doing my best to start off not on my phone, not on my computer, not watching a video, not playing a game, not on Instagram. Journaling is really good for me when I can do it. Meditation is good, and it's pretty easy for me to meditate. I did it this morning and I meditated for like 20 minutes. I can usually get 10 minutes pretty effortlessly, so I should do it more often. And I just look at meditation for me as like if my brain is like a glass of water that somebody dumped a bunch of glitter in and they stirred it all up and it's swirling all over the place. Like that's what it feels like a lot of times in my brain. And meditation for me is just kind of like taking the spoon out and letting the glitter settle a little bit. And does it all settle? No, right? It kind of, but it helps a little. And I think it's one of those things that definitely has a lot more benefit cumulatively over time. I was thinking about that as I walked to the post office today because I was in the sun, and I had a therapist or a psychiatrist or some mental health person at one point who I did not like. I think it was probably just somebody who prescribed meds. And, you know, she told me that I needed to like get sun. She was telling me like get like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of sun every day and whatever. And I remember at the time thinking like, okay, like, thanks. Like when we're at the point where we're seeing a mental health professional, especially for medication, we're kind of at a crisis point, right? So things like sunlight and exercise and diet, those are all things that help you with your mental health. But if you are already way down here, you don't have the capacity to do those things. Those are not get me out of the gutter kind of solutions. Those are long-term maintenance solutions. They are important, which I don't like hearing because they're hard for me to be consistent with, but it's true. They are important. They do make a difference. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can learn about how it chemically makes a difference for you, right? Like the exercise thing, I've heard all my life, like, oh, exercise is good for your mental health. And you're like, okay, cool. But like nobody's ever really explained why. And it does do a whole bunch of stuff. Like it releases chemicals in your body when you exercise. When you build muscle, muscle helps you more effectively, I think, like manage your, like, you know, you burn fat better and I don't know, there's all sorts of like chemical shit that happens in your body, right? I told you I'd be bad at explaining this. So it's not like if you're depressed and you can't get off the fucking bed, it's not like go outside and take a walk, right? And now I'm getting off on 12 tangents. I see that kind of advice a lot also. I follow a really great YouTube channel that I love. It's called Therapy in a Nutshell, and I can't remember the name of the doctor or, you know, I don't know if she's a social worker. I can't remember what she is, but I really like her a lot. And she generally has pretty good advice, but she's done a couple of videos, and I've seen other people do them as well, kind of talking about how if you are in a depressive episode, movement is the key. Like you have to make yourself get up and do something. And I know for me personally, there's times that works. It doesn't always, but there are times when it does. But there's also times when that makes it worse for me. And I don't know if that's the difference between like burnout and depression. And I want to be clearer too on this. I've absolutely in my life had, I don't want to say a lot of depression. You know, my depression was always very low grade, apathetic. I don't care. I can't move. I have no emotion, just meh, right? That was my depression. I wasn't, you know, that was it. But that's still bad. That's not good. And I've also gone through a lot of burnout. And I don't know if it's just that burnout causes depression or it has the same kind of symptoms as depression. But I know that for me, a lot of the burnout was because you just have to every single fucking day, whether you feel like it or not, you have to get up and do these things. You have to get up and go to work. You have to get up and feed your pets or your kids or whatever. You don't have a choice. And I've absolutely had those experiences in my life where just getting up and moving and making yourself do something not only does not help, but it makes it feel worse for me. And so I always kind of hate that advice, but it's not bad advice. It's just not advice that is right for everybody all the time. And it's taken me a lot of years to learn how to recognize in myself when that's going to be helpful and when it's not. And I am getting better at doing that. When I decided to cancel my show on Thursday, that was part of it. I had a friend trying to talk me through it, and she was saying, like, okay, so if you cancel this show tomorrow, are you going to, like, will you be refreshed and you could just do another show on Friday, or like, you could schedule it for Saturday? And I said, I don't know that that's going to fix it. Right? It's not like I just need a good night's sleep and I'll be okay. I think I needed that whole pressure to just be kind of lifted for a little bit. And then when it was lifted and I felt a lot better the next day, I was like, okay, great. But I wasn't like, now I can go bang out 50 photos. It was like, okay, I feel better. I feel like I can manage some things. Let me photograph these 3 items and then I'll see how I feel. Right. And it's very slow and baby steps. I feel like I was going somewhere else, and I'm so rambly with this, but I also feel like you guys are used to this. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff that's longer term solutions that build up over time to give you a benefit. Getting sunshine, getting exercise, eating properly, all that stuff. But those are hard. You can't just come out of the gate and like start a new life today, because that never works. And like the process of figuring out in myself when I'm in a burnout moment versus like I'm just in a down mood, that maybe if I get up and move, I'll be able to break myself out of it. Like a lot of the self-awareness with that has come from journaling, meditation stuff, but also hearing other people talk about it a lot. That's one of the things that I've really appreciated about TikTok and about, a bunch of creators and things that I follow on YouTube and even Instagram, is continuously listening to some of these people talk about those experiences. And then they give me little bits of insight into, oh yeah, I've felt that before. And that makes a lot of sense. And, that depression feels different to me than this depression over here, so that sucks too, right? Because it's social media, which is also a hellscape. Anyway, so I don't know. That's not, I was going to wrap this up all neatly a few minutes ago, I think, and then I went off on another tangent, but it's how it is. So right now, today's Saturday. I've had no Whatnot shows. I'm panicking a little bit financially, not terribly, but a little bit. I don't like it. Etsy and eBay are, still sleeping all the time. It's depressing. I'm going to try and work on some of that a little bit, but I just am going to really try to baby step my way out of this. I did manage to get a bunch of photos taken for my Whatnot show. So my Whatnot show this week on Thursday will be a relaxing experience, at least as far as setup goes, because most of the work will already be done. And I'm going to feel a lot better about the inventory I have in that show, because I'm not going to be in a state of panic over like, oh shit, this has a rip, or oh crap, this has a stain that I didn't see, or oh my God, when I steamed this, the body odor that came off of this garment was like an entity. It's awful. I don't even know how I get this really cute outfit that stinks, and I'm going to figure it out. Anyway, I'll be able to sort of pull those pieces out and have time to think about what I want to replace them with, so that I'll have a show that I'm really proud of and excited about, and hopefully it'll go really well. So that's everything, I guess. It's not, but it is. I get to go spend some time with friends tomorrow. That will be really good for me. And I tried to wear something kind of cute. I'm hanging out. I've got my little Vanity Fair teddy on that I just normally, when I'm around the house, I just throw on like a t-shirt and some kind of sweatpants or shorts. And I was like, let's be a little bit cuter today. Even though I got this going on, I had to set my hair. But be a little bit cuter today, and maybe that'll help me feel a little bit more together with my life. I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate you watching all this stuff, especially when I ramble like a crazy person. I feel insane when I do these videos, but Also, sometimes I feel like there are other people out there that are like me. And maybe it makes you feel better the same way that I enjoy and appreciate other people sharing their experiences and what works for them. And that's it. So thanks so much for watching this. I really appreciate it as always. I hope that I hope that you had a good 4th of July, right? A little time off at the very least. So thank you so much. I will see you soon. Bye.